Hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and today we're going to talk about how to discover your personal style. Now, I want to tell you right off the bat what this is not, because I was very choosy about my words as far as the title here. And you will notice I did not use the word create a style or curate a style. My goal here is not to find you a capsule wardrobe, to bend your what you wear into some sort of specific trend box or whatever people might associate with a specific traditional kind of style of fashion. What I want you to do is discover what you already love. So it's not about making something new. It's not starting from the beginning. It's not about tossing out parts of your wardrobe that don't fit within a specific style. This is more about noticing what you have and using what you already love to grow your handmade wardrobe into something you will love as much as your store-bought wardrobe. I started this series that I've decided to call Love Your Handmade Wardrobe with my previous video about why you hate your handmade garments. I thought it was really important that was something that wasn't really talked about enough. And I thought it was important to bring that out into the open, that lots of people spend lots of time and lots of money to create a handmade garment. And then in the end, either hate it or even are just kind of lukewarm about it, which is not what you want when you've put in the time and money to hand make a piece of clothing. So that was kind of the start. If you haven't watched that video, I will link it below so that you can go watch that. Depending on when you're watching this, my plan is to make a whole bunch of these videos to give all sorts of tips and tricks to help you not hate your handmade garments. So what we're going to do today is take some time to pay attention, really. It's not about changing who you are, going in a different direction from what you love, curating a fashion. It's going to be all about taking the time to notice what you love in what you already own, so that you can translate that into handmade items. The older I get, the less I'm concerned with fashion trends, the less I'm concerned with what's popular right now. I'll be real honest. What's popular right now is what was popular when I was a child. So kind of been there, done that. But to me, it's more about what makes me feel good, not only what's comfortable, but when I look at myself wearing a garment, I feel confident in the way I look in that garment. It can be a real trap to chase the trends, to try to fit your body into a fashion style that might be trendy, but doesn't make you feel good. And so that's certainly not our goal today. Real quick before we jump into how we're going to go about discovering your personal style, I would like to ask you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications. I would love for you not to miss out on any of the rest of the videos that I post about this. Like I said, I'm going to be giving all sorts of tips and tricks on how to best pick all sorts of things. We're going to talk about the things you like, how to pick better patterns, yarn choice, all sorts of things that affect the final outcome of a handmade garment, because my goal with this series is for you to get to the end of making a handmade garment and think, wow, I love this. So thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Every single one of you. I do a little happy dance every time I get a notification about a new subscriber. And I love chatting with you. So leave comments below. I'd love to chit chat about how you feel about this, how you have felt about garments you've made in the past, some things you'd like to know about to make better garments in the future. I'd love to address those things. So, all right, here's what we're going to do today to discover your style. And what I want you to do, this is going to take doing, okay? This is not just to listen to what Sarah says and then like tuck it away in our knowledge and move on with things. Today, I'm going to give you some concrete things that you need to go do to discover your personal style, not just think about it in your brain. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our closet, go to our wardrobe, go to our dressers, and we're going to look at the clothes that we have. Now, don't pull out everything. If you're like me, there's a lot there. And not everything is going to fit into your personal style. Here are the things I want you to pull out. I want you to pull out the clothes that you feel best in. Every time you put it on, you feel confident. You feel comfortable. You feel like you could go out and meet the world with your best feeling self and your most confident self. So, number one, pull out the things you feel best in. Number two, pull out the things you wear most often. Now, I am making the assumption that the things you wear most often, you wear them most often because they make you feel good. This may not be the case. If you have a work uniform and that is what you wear most often, maybe you feel terrible every time you put it on. That does not count. Maybe one of the things you notice, and this is totally fine, maybe one of the things you notice is that the things you wear most often are not actually things that make you feel confident. If that's the case, that's a whole nother story. Another thing to ask yourself, well, why? Why do I wear this most often if I don't feel confident in it? And if the answer is something like work dress code or because it's what's professional or whatever, that's something to think about. That is there a way that you could maybe still meet those standards, but in things you feel more confident in? All right, and then the last thing I want you to pull out of your wardrobe are things that you absolutely love. Now, the thing that I'm separating there is that, I don't know about you, but I have items in my closet that I love and have hung on to, some of them for years, that don't fit me anymore. Because if I got to the place where they did fit me, I would be sad if I had let them go. And even though those aren't things that make me feel good right now, if I put on an item of clothing that is too small for me, I'm not going to be like, yeah, feeling confident. And they're not going to be things I wear often because they don't fit me. But there is knowledge and value in those items that you love so much that you have hung on to, even though they don't make you feel good anymore, or you don't wear them often. So I was going to say the exception to that might be like an evening gown, but if you have a very fancy item of clothing that you love, understanding why you love that fancy piece of clothing and why it makes you feel good might direct you into changing some other things in your wardrobe. Can you wear an evening gown every day of the week? I mean, I don't know what you do. I mean, I suppose technically I could wear an evening gown around my house every day. But I can take elements of what I love about that into my everyday life. So we're pulling out 3 things from our wardrobe: what you feel best in, what you wear most often, and what you love very best, whether it fits you or not. Once you have, that's step 1. If you would like to, pause the video, go do that thing, or those 3 things, and then come back. Because once you have those things, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze our clothing. I don't want you to limit yourself as you're pulling things out. These do not need to be handmade garments. You do not need to limit yourself to casual wear or work wear or pant or sweaters. They don't just need to be sweaters. There's value in, if you have a jacket you love, there's value in understanding what it is about that you love. And you could recreate some of those elements in handmade garments. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to take a look at the clothes that you've pulled out of your wardrobe. And now's the discovery part. We're going to ask some probing questions about them. And I suppose the first step you're going to want to do is take a look, because there may be some things in there, especially in the wear most often category, that you may look at, and under a critical eye, you may say, I wear those leggings, jeans, oversized sweatshirt. I wear that a lot, but I don't feel great in it. And so I'm not going to take my cues of handmade garments from those items of clothing. I really want you to focus then on the things that make you feel amazing, because that's the feeling we want most often when we're making a handmade garment. Now, I will say that taking a look at that super comfy sweatshirt you wear every day, that can be worthwhile too, because it depends on what your purpose of making your garment is, right? If your purpose is, I want something that every day when I come home, I pick up and I put on and I snuggle down in my couch and I feel cozy and wonderful, that's worthwhile too. And to find that, you want to go to the piece of clothing that you wear now. And so it may not be the thing that makes you feel the most amazing, confident, and ready to go rule the world, but it may be the thing that makes you feel warm and cozy and comfortable. That is of value too. So maybe, okay, I'm taking this. I'm going to say, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to say, don't get rid of those things that make you feel cozy that you wear all the time. So I want you to analyze a few things about each of these pieces of clothing that you've pulled out of your wardrobe now. I want you, ideally, I'm going to say ideally, I'm not going to boss you around, which I'd like you to acknowledge is hard for me because I can be kind of bossy. I would love for you to do 2 things. I would love for you to put each piece of clothing on, which, man, I know that takes energy. As someone who is still in the phase that a couple of times a year I have to go in with my children and redo their whole wardrobe because they have grown out of the previous clothes. Every time I say, I want you to try on every pair of these pants and see if they're long enough, they go, oh. And so I understand it takes energy. But if you have the energy and if you're feeling really committed, I would love it if you would try on each piece of clothing and take some notes, because that will be something then that you can come back to later when you're thinking, I would like to make a sweater. I would like to feel professional and put together and confident in my sweater. If you have a notebook that says, when I wear my sweater with the argyle, I feel confident, put together, professional, right? Those were the 3 things I said. Then you can go to the argyle sweater. You can notice the design elements of it and the construction of it, and then go looking for a pattern that matches that. So I'd love for you to take your notes to put the piece of clothing on, take notes about how the garment makes you feel. So if you put on the sweatshirt and it makes you feel comfortable and cozy, write comfortable and cozy. And then I would like you to notice things about the design and the construction of that garment, because those are the things that you're going to be looking for when you go searching for a pattern to match that feeling. So I'd love for you to take some notes about the shape of it. Is it fitted? Is it boxy? Does it fit close on the shoulders and moves away from your body at the tummy and the hips? Is it looser in your arms? Is it more fitted in your arms? All of those things about the shape are things that you might not have thought to notice before. And I have found that it can be very helpful when analyzing the shape of a garment to just lay it out flat. Because there are garments that I have thought were boxy, and when I lay them out flat, you can actually see the shaping in them. Well, that's not a boxy. That's it. It's shaped. It doesn't have to be tight fitting to be shaped, if that makes sense. So take some notes on the shape of the garment. I also want you to notice about the drape of the garment. And this is something, drape has value in both directions. So there's a lot of talk in the handmade community, I feel like, and maybe even more so in the crochet community, because it's harder to get really nice drapey fabric with crocheted fabric than it is with knit. There's a lot of value put on drapey fabric. But not everything can be drapey. You don't want that suit jacket to be drapey. You don't want every cardigan you own to be super drapey. You may be the type of person, as you discover and compare several different garments, you may say, wow, I tend to lean towards things that are drapey. And that's important to notice, because then you're going to want to lean towards constructing handmade garments that are drapey. But you may say, in a sweater, I love a good drape. I like it to kind of flow and be lightweight and have some movement. But in a cardigan, I want some structure. I want to be able to put it over the top of something and have some structure to it. And that's going to be the choices you make for your sweater will be different than the choices you make for your cardigan. But before you can make those choices, you have to know what you like. So notice the shape, notice the drape, and then I want you to notice the construction. Now, if you don't know a lot about construction, that's okay. I am going to be sharing another video, and when I do, I'll link it below so you can check out below. I'm also going to make a playlist on my channel called, I think I'm calling it Love Your Handmade Garments. I think I've already made it. So you can check out all of the videos in this series right there then. The way you can, first of all, you can notice construction without knowing the technical terms for it. So draw some little pictures, write yourself some notes. If you like all of your sweaters to have a seam at the shoulder, then write seam at the shoulder, or, whatever construction technique you even want to call that. Because honestly, no one is coming in and looking at your notes and being like, she didn't call that the right thing. How terrible. The power in knowing the technical names is then when you go look for patterns. If the designer has listed those techniques, then you'll know, oh, those match up. So I'm going to do another video showing you with my own clothes what some different styles of tops are and how shape and drape can affect fit. Because I think seeing that is really powerful. And I have some great examples of clothing that are made in the same style but have very different drape, and they fit and flatter differently. So be on the lookout for that video. So look at the construction, and it can be as simple as saying, oh my gosh, I had never noticed that every sweater that I own that I really love has a round neck, or every sweater that I wear regularly has a V-neck, or every sweater that I really love, or maybe even just my favorite sweater, has ribbing around the wrists and ribbing around the bottom, or has a split hem, where the ribbing on the bottom doesn't connect on the sides. If you love a split hem, first of all, that's a very easy modification. But also, then go look for patterns with a split hem, because it's your favorite. So look at those constructions. Do you like buttons? Do you like collars? If you like a collar, do you like a big drapey collar? Do you like a more tailored collar? Do you love a turtleneck? Do you love a cowl neck? All of those things are things to notice about how your garment is constructed. Do you like your sweaters short? Do you like your sweaters very long? Do you like your sweaters in between? All of those things about construction are great to notice and will help you make better choices in the future. And then the last thing to notice is, do you have a more specific style? Now, I don't want to pressure you into a style, because I don't feel like I have a really specific style. No one would look at my wardrobe and go, oh, Sarah's very bohemian, or I don't even know other names because I'm not that fashionable. But I don't think people would look in my wardrobe and say, oh, Sarah has a very strong style that leans towards whatever. That does not need to be your goal. But if you do, if you look at your wardrobe and you see, oh, I am very classic. All of my clothes would fall into I like cables, I like argyle, I like classic color work, I like, really classic shapes and structure, more structured items. Then when you're looking for patterns, you're maybe going to skip over the ones that say things like boho, because a bohemian style is a lot more drapey and flowy and lacks construction and tends to be more open lace work kind of stuff. And while that might be gorgeous, if you're not going to wear it, you're not going to want to spend the time and the money into making that. You can look at those garments and you can appreciate them for their beauty and say, but when it's finished, I wouldn't wear it. And so I'm going to go look for something that matches my style a little more. I don't know about you, but when I go into a store, I will often, and I'm getting better about this the older I get, and the more that I've noticed what I really feel confident in. But especially when I was younger, I would take armloads of things into the dressing room and I would try them on. And I always went back to the same things. The same things always made me feel good. And I felt flattered my body. But when you hand make a garment, it's not like a dressing room. You can't, there's a big time and money commitment between starting the garment and trying on the finished product. So you want to make more focused choices before you put in all of that time and energy into something. Now, 2 things. I am not saying that you shouldn't make what you want. If you have never worn a bohemian, flowy, lacy, duster length vest in your life, but you see that pattern and you are in love with it and you want to make it, man. I am not going to tell you no. You have control over this. But if you're either avoiding making handmade garments because you're fearful that you're not going to like the final product, or you have made handmade garments in the past and not enjoyed the final outcome, these are just some things to think about to hopefully avoid that in the future. The other thing I want to say is when you're looking at what you love, lots of people over your lifetime have probably told you rules you should be following. And I've said it in previous videos, but I think it's worth saying again. It doesn't matter what your aunt thinks flatters you. It doesn't matter what color your mother-in-law thinks looks best on you. It's about you and how you feel. And if you look at your wardrobe and think, I don't feel great in any of this. I've been living my life by what Aunt Sally told me looked best on me when I was 15. Then maybe it's time to do some exploring of what really makes you feel good. So I hope that this analysis and discovery into your own personal style is interesting to you. I hope you find some similarities between the pieces of clothing that you really love, or at very least, you are able to kind of pin down what about specific pieces of clothing make you feel really great and make you love them. And then we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to talk about how you can use that knowledge to move forward in a direction to make handmade garments you really love. The next video I'm going to share is about shape and drape, which is going to include some information about construction. I would love if you would comment below with any questions you have about construction, because I would love to be able to show you some examples. Hopefully I have them in my wardrobe. So that you can see with your eyes, because to me that's very powerful, what these things look like, so that you can gain that knowledge and use them in making your own analysis. Thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to hear what you discover about your own wardrobe and your own style. I would love to know. As always, you can comment below. There are links to all of my social medias and to sign up for my email list. I love chatting with people about this stuff, so don't feel shy about sending me an email. I'd love to chat. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy crafting.